I was babysitting my friend's kids and his daughter came rushing into the room and she was freaked out. Her parents had only been gone about an hour and she just kept repeating, I need to call my dad. I need to call my dad. He needs to come home right now. And I said, okay, we can call him. But first, what's wrong? Maybe I can help you with it. And she said, no, you can't help me. And I said, okay, well, just tell me then. Just tell me what's wrong. And she was like, I have to go poop. And I said, oh, okay, you can go poop while I'm in the house. And she said, I need help wiping. And I was like, well, I can help you wipe if that's okay. And she said, no, only my mommy and daddy can help me wipe. And I was like, that's a good rule. What if I text your dad and I ask him for permission, then can I help you wipe? And she went, okay. And then she skipped off to the bathroom and 8 seconds later she was ready. I was like, no wonder she was freaked out. We were seconds away from a disaster.
I really want to hear y'all's prom story times because mine was horrible. Let me start off by saying that I grew up in a very strict home. The uno nunca sabe parent type. You don't know what could happen type of parenting, so you can't go sleep over nobody's house. Our prom tickets were so expensive. $85 per person. Per person! And that didn't count my $200 dress because your girl had to slay. You know what? Let me show you a picture real quick. That's me. The dress was cute, but the makeup, girl, what is going on? Point is, my makeup looked crusty, and let's not talk about that hair. R.I.P. Anyways, back to the point of the story. Prom started at 8, ended at 12. My dad said I had to be back at 9. It literally was gonna take us 45 minutes just to drive back. If you do the math, my dad only wanted me to be at prom for 15 minutes. So my mom had to convince my dad to let me come back at 10. Wow, what a difference. Thanks, Mom. Literally, by the time we got there, the time it took us to get in and take this, we had to come back. Who does that to their child?
Years back, I was working for this company and I called in sick on a Monday. And then when I came in on Tuesday, the boss sat me down in his office and he was like, listen, Kate, this isn't my first rodeo. I've been CEO for a long time and I know what you did. And I was like, what did I do? And he said, you were out partying and drinking all weekend and then you were too hungover to come in on Monday and that's just unacceptable. And I was like, oh, excuse me, sir. That is not my particular brand of irresponsible, okay? My brand of irresponsible is I went camping over the weekend and we made tinfoil dinners and mine was on the outside of the fire and everybody else was on the inside of the fire because I have a hard time asserting my needs, especially when other people are there. I put them before me. And so anyway, mine was on the outside of the fire and everybody else was eating before me because theirs cooked faster and I didn't want to wait to eat mine. So I just ate it before the meat was done cooking. And did I bring the sickness on myself and get food poisoning? Yes, I did. But also, how dare you?
Story time about how I was almost kidnapped. So a little background information, I was 13 and it was the summer going into 9th grade. I was on a road trip with my family and we needed to stop for some gas. So we stopped at some random gas station and we see this lady get out of her car and walk in. No big deal though. So we're inside and we're waiting in line to use the bathroom. So we were in the front of the line and then that lady was behind us and then there were a few people behind her. So as we're standing in line, she FaceTimes some guy and then she starts pointing the camera at people around the store and she would be like, oh, do you like this? And he would say yes or no. Well, then she points the phone at me and then he goes, yeah, that's the one. And my mom and I were super creeped out about this because she was being super loud and she was taking a really long time at this gas station. So my mom goes into the bathroom and then she starts to talk to me. She starts asking how old I am, where I'm from, and if my mom and I were here with anybody else. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how I was almost kidnapped. So like I said, she starts to talk to me and ask me super personal questions. And I'm being vague about everything that I possibly can be. So I go in, I use the restroom after my mom. We grab some snacks and then she follows us around the whole store. And she didn't even use the bathroom. So we leave the store and we saw the car that she got out of and it was parked right next to our car. When originally it was parked all the way across the parking lot. And I'm guessing the man who she was on FaceTime with was in the car. And he was sitting right where my car door was. So my mom and I decided to walk around a little bit and this lady is just following behind us the whole time. So we call my dad who was across the street at another store. We told him about the situation so he comes and picks us up and then he sees the car pick the lady up and they start following us. So then they followed us for about 25 to 30 freaking miles and then they ended up turning off on some random road. And I have a feeling if my mom and I didn't pay such close attention to what they were doing, I would have been kidnapped and trafficked.
My roommate texted me and she said, hey, I left you a little present outside your door. And I was like, well, aren't you just the sweetest? She left me this little bag with this whatever, this cookie thing in it. And I took it out and I was like, okay, it's a little bit stale, but it was still really sweet of her. And then I took a bite out of it and it's soap. This is soap. I'm so confused right now. Look, those are my teeth marks in it. So anybody who's ever gotten mad at me for cursing on TikTok can take satisfaction in knowing that I received karmic retribution and I ate soap. And I wasn't the only person in the house who bit into the soap. It was a very sweet but very deceptive present.
This embarrassing moment came back to my mind, and instead of keeping it to myself, I'm gonna tell you anyway. I was in 5th grade before, puberty starts and you start your period and things start to grow. So for some reason, we were all intrigued about boobs. And we're like, oh my gosh, we need to have boobs. Like it was a necessity. So I guess this girl started a trend because she started stuffing her shirt with toilet paper. She was walking around like, I got boobs. So all the girls are like, oh my gosh, you're a grown woman. I wanted to be a grown woman too. So what did I do? The next day I go into the bathroom stall, grab some toilet paper, stuff it inside my shirt. And I'm walking around with like 2 tumors on my chest. And I thought it was perfectly normal. My teacher sent me to the nurse. It's embarrassing.
Story time on how my mom was jealous of my beauty and I ended up bald, part 2. Okay, so boom, like I said, my mom was so jealous of me, she cut my hair and I was bald. She also stopped buying my skincare treatments, so I broke out and got acne. But worst of all, my mom took all, and when I say all, she took all my cute clothes and donated them. I cried and begged my mom not to, and she said that it's for a good cause. I screamed at her saying, I know what you're doing. You're just jealous and trying to make me look ugly. She told me I didn't know what I was talking about. Then she grounded me. I told my dad what my mom was doing, and he screamed at her for me, calling her sick in the head. I started living with my dad and grew my hair back and fixed my skin, and I'm back to wearing cute clothes thanks to my dad. I see my mom from time to time, but I gotta love her from a distance.
Story time. I always answer my phone calls. Why? You never know who it could be. Could be anybody. Could be somebody famous. Okay, so for the last few months, I keep getting the same phone call from a woman. She has been trying to contact, I think, her nephew or her niece, but instead she calls me. Now, she hadn't called me in a long time. She called me yesterday, though, and it went like this. Hello? Hi, who's this? I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to call my nephew. Your number is... Says my number. And I'm like, yeah, that's my number. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I felt like I was covered in honey. No, ma'am, it's fine. I'm so sorry, baby. She sounds like she makes cookies. Call me anytime. Anytime.